What up, guys? It's Matty Mish here. We're here with another Pokemon Go video. Once again, since I don't have a lot of time to go out this week and play Pokemon Go, we're working on that mini series of who you should use your Sinnoh Stone to evolve to. So today we'll be looking at Roserade, and before we get into today's video, just like all the other previous videos, if there's a Pokemon that evolves from the Sinnoh Stone that's your favorite Pokemon, or one that you want to evolve to because it'll make the game more enjoyable for you, I would definitely recommend you evolving to that Pokemon. This video is just sort of a guide for those players that want meta-relevant Pokemon, or if they're in small raid groups and they want to get the most out of their attackers. So I'm just going to be going over a little guide to help those players out and make sure that you guys are getting the most out of your Pokemon. So today's video will be focusing on Roserade as a grass attacker. And before the Sinnoh Stone was rolled out, Venusaur was the main top grass attacker with Frenzy Plant, that Community Day exclusive move. So we'll be looking at Roserade compared to the top grass attacker Venusaur with Frenzy Plant. And if you haven't got a Venusaur with Frenzy Plant, it was the Community Day move back in March. If you didn't have time to play in that Community Day, with the Community Day weekend coming up starting November 30th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, going to December 2nd at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Bulbasaur, as well as all the other Pokemon that were featured in Community Day, will be spawning more throughout the wild. And if you evolve within to a Venusaur within that extended time, or any other Pokemon that was a Community Day exclusive, if you evolve them to their final form, they will still have that Community Day exclusive move. So if you don't have a Venusaur with Frenzy Plant and would want one, the Community Day weekend coming up this weekend would be the best option for you to go ahead and get one. So we're going to go ahead and get into today's video and compare Roserade to a Venusaur with Frenzy Plant. So if you look at them side by side, Venusaur has a attack stat of 198, while Roserade has a attack stat of 243. Venusaur has a max CP of 2720, while Roserade has a max CP of 2971. And then Venusaur has a defense stat of 189, while Roserade has a defensive stat of 185. And Venusaur has a stamina of 190, while Roserade has a stamina of 155. So if you look at the CP, Roserade does have a higher CP with its max CP being a 2971 compared to Venusaur's 2720. If you look at the attack stat, Roserade does have a better attack. It has a 243 attack, where Venusaur has a 198 attack. And then if you look at their defensive stats, Venusaur has the slight edge on Roserade for defense with a 189 defense, where Roserade has a 185 defense. And then if you look at the stamina, that's where Venusaur has its biggest advantage, because it has a stamina of 190, where Roserade has a stamina of 155. And if you look at their best moves, Venusaur's best move is Vine Whip and Frenzy Plant. Venusaur also has the move Razor Leaf, but with and Vine Whip and Razor Leaf, they're close in DPS and both are great moves. But Vine Whip is slightly better. So if you're planning on using Venusaur as an attacker, you should go with Vine Whip. If you're planning on using it as a defensive Pokemon to defend gyms, I would recommend Razor Leaf. And then the best charge move is Frenzy Plant, which is that Community Day moveset. And if you're looking to use Roserade as a grass attacker, its best moveset would be Razor Leaf and Solar Beam. Roserade is also a great poison attacker, so if you want it to be a poison attacker, I would recommend using Poison Jab and Sludge Bomb. But we're focusing more on Roserade as a grass attacker in this video. So the best grass move for Roserade would be Razor Leaf and Solar Beam. And if you look at the DPS of both Venusaur and Roserade, you can see that Roserade with Razor Leaf and Solar Beam has a total DPS of 30.47, while Venusaur with Vine Whip and Frenzy Plant has a total DPS of 29.87. So Roserade is the winner of DPS, but it's not by much. And with Frenzy Plant being a quick 2-bar charge move, where Solar Beam is a slow 1-bar charge move, it makes Frenzy Plant Venusaur the top grass attacker. And I know that in the previous videos we've been talking about that attack stat, and how if you are in a small raid group, you want to focus more on that attack stat more than the survivability with stamina, and more than the defensive stat with defense. So even though Roserade has the slight advantage over DPS and has a much higher attack stat with that 243 than Venusaur's 198, this is one of those odd situations where even though it has the better DPS and the better attack stat, that Venusaur is still the top grass attacker. And the reason why is because Frenzy Plant is that 2-bar charge move. So even though it's Venusaur has a lower attack stat and a slightly lower DPS, because it has that 2-bar charge move, that's a quick 2-bar charge move, it does beat Roserade's 1-bar charge move of Solar Beam, which is a slower 1-bar charge move set. So if you're looking at your top grass attacker, you would want to get a Venusaur, which is why this Community Day event coming up in December is something you guys should really take advantage of if you didn't have time to go out in March and get that Frenzy Plant Venusaur, because Bulbasaur will be spawning more in the wild, and you will be able to evolve to a Frenzy Plant Venusaur if you evolve within the Community Day hours, which would be starting at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday, November 30th, and going until December 2nd at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And even though uh, Frenzy Plant Venusaur is the top grass attacker, Roserade is a very good second option. And with Frenzy Plant being a legacy move that I'm assuming you won't be able to get at least for a long time after this Community Day event coming up. If you don't have time to go out this Community Day weekend and you didn't have time to play the Community Day event in March, I would really recommend Roserade as your grass attacker on your team, because even though it does come in second to Frenzy Plant Venusaur, some people could argue that it is better just because its DPS is slightly better. But if you're looking at the move set, that 2-bar charge move does make up a lot for the 1-bar charge move that Roserade has. Venusaur still stays as your top grass attacker, but Roserade is right there, right behind it as a second. So if you don't have the opportunity to get more than one Frenzy Plant Venusaur and you do want a second grass attacker on your team, or if you want more options on your the grass side, then I definitely recommend using your Sinnoh Stone to evolve to Roserade. It's a great second option. It does deal a lot of DPS and it does have a great move set. There you go. I hope you guys gained a little bit of insight on who to use as your grass attacker. There really is no loser. Both Venusaur and Roserade perform great. However, Venusaur does have that slight advantage over Roserade. But if you wanted a more diverse grass team instead of just a grass team full of Frenzy Plant Venusaurs, Roserade is great to add to that lineup. It deals a lot of DPS and it does have a great grass attack move with Razor Leaf and Solar Beam. Overall, Roserade is a great attacker, but it's just slightly behind Venusaur. So once again, if there is a Pokemon that you guys would get more enjoyment out of using, or if your favorite Pokemon evolves with the Sinnoh Stone, then I definitely recommend using it on that Pokemon. If not, I hope you guys did learn a little bit more about the metagame and which Pokemon to use in the metagame. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you do like the content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, if there's any Pokemon Go thing that you want to see added to the channel, just go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I'll do my best to make a video on that and get it up as soon as possible for you guys. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.